one thing I want to get y'all's insights on is Seth Rollins' reaction to CM Punk being released by AEW. And do you think there's a possibility that CM Punk returns to WWE?
All right. I don't know. What was Seth Rollins' reaction? I missed this.
He called him a lot of bad words. He said he's a total a-hole and nobody likes him and he's glad that he got fired.
Well, first off, he everybody agrees that he's a bit of an asshole. He's a loner. Nobody's disagreeing about that. CM Punk isn't disagreeing about that. Okay? But a lot of people say he is a very professional person to work with most of the time. If you are professional with him, he will be professional with you. He was professional with Undertaker, even though he didn't want to lose to him. He was professional with John Cena. He was a professional with Kane. He was professional with a lot of fucking people. He is willing to do business. He is a businessman first. And that is something that WWE will take an advantage. As you asked about the possibility of his return. Here are the key things here. The people it's going to come down to is Triple H, Nick Khan, and Vince McMahon. Those are your three big names right now. Yes, we know Endeavor is finalizing the takeover this month. It's officially going to be finalized. 100% taken over this month. But right now, that is the three people he needs to worry about. Nick Khan is a straight businessman, and Nick Khan, it depends on I don't know how much he's dealt with CM Punk himself. I do know that if he's only basing it on how CM Punk has acted with AEW, that's going to be bad on CM Punk, and there's no way to look at it. Triple H, on the other hand, they obviously had heat, but when CM Punk did that little visit to WWE a few months ago, they shook hands. They were polite to each other, and they let bygones be bygones. The only reason CM Punk was asked to leave is because he was still under AEW contract, and that came from Vince McMahon. Now, the question then lies is, how does Vince McMahon look at this? And I think Vince McMahon sees money. I really do. In the end, I think Triple H and Vince McMahon are willing to work with him. So it's going to come down to how much money can they make out of it and what kind of a deal are they going to go with. But I think that there is a good chance we will see CM Punk come back at least for a short run.
Isn't this the perfect guy to rival Seth Rollins right now? Like, that would be the perfect, because you already have Cody doing his thing on the other side of the aisle.
LA Knight.
Yeah. Or listen, he could beef with LA Knight. That's fine too. But I think it's going to take, I think if CM Punk came back, he would be elevated right back to the top above LA Knight. I mean, can we,
well, right now, LA Knight is considered the top babyface in SmackDown. He is being treated as the top babyface in SmackDown.
Right.
Yeah.
But does LA Knight have anything around his shoulder right now?
Doesn't matter.
What I'm saying? Like, I think CM Punk would return under the understanding that I want to be champion within 3 months or whatever. And these are the terms, right? Because I think he could dictate his future. I think he could go to the table with all three of them, with Paul, Tony, and Vince, and say,
here's
hey,
the problem.
Yep.
Here's the problem with that concept. He could, he can dictate the terms of his return, but if his term doesn't match their vision, he's proven that he can be a liability. And they might just say, okay, well, it was nice seeing you. Good luck in your future endeavors, and not work with him. They have to determine if his demands are worth their risk of bringing him back.
I'd like to see him back. I'm kind of up for a shakeup. Like, I'd be cool with. I would be okay with, Cody and him beefing. That would be cool.
I mean,
I see your shirt. I get it. Like, that's one of the reasons I brought it up. But I think it's a thing that a lot of fans are thinking about right now. And listen,
and Survivor Series is in Chicago.
I mean, listen, that's somebody's hometown. So that could be the next big thing. That could be the comeback. And if they do it, they have to be so secretive and get beyond all of the things.
I I read something online that I thought would be hilarious. They said what they should do is they should have CM Punk show up to Survivor Series, but not as a wrestler. Just have him sitting in the front row, or I think sitting a few seats away from some of the usual guys, like green shirt guy, right? But never mention it. Like have the announcer specifically, you're not allowed to mention it. Catch him on camera, but you're not allowed to talk about it.
Right. Or have him up in a box, just eating popcorn or something. Just
and then when they ask Triple H about it on the after show, thing, Triple H says he showed up as a fan. He paid for his ticket like everyone else.
He'd be like, he paid $5,000 to sit there and watch this. I don't know why, but maybe we'll find out.
And then you have him show up on SmackDown or Raw, and
then maybe
right, have him show up as a fan for a while. Like he bought a box. All right, we got to find out why CM Punk is here. Like, why are you here? And he'd be like, listen, I'm a fan of WWE. I never stopped being a fan. The problem is business always gets in the way. But now I'm back. I'm back in business and I'm ready to sign. Where's my deal? Something like that, where it's like and then you have the Raw GM like, I don't know. He's on the phone with H like, So they could shake it up like that. Have him pull like a Sting in the rafters thing, where you're just always you find him in the arena, and then you pan away. It's like he's there, he's there. Yeah, and that's great rogue marketing. And that's all they need to do with him. You don't even have to have a big splash with him because people know who he is. They know he's not going to go back to the indies. Once you're CM Punk and you've been to the top, you're not going to go back to wrestling in elementary schools on the weekends. This is not going to happen. So I could foresee him returning maybe sooner than later. I mean, listen, you might see him in the next couple weeks on Raw or SmackDown. Wouldn't that be something?
With his age, it will have to be on the sooner. He is getting a.
Is he still married to AJ?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That'd be cool if she could come back too. Maybe it's a package deal.
Maybe. I don't know how. It depends on how she feels.
I think she's retired and happy with acting.
There you go. Safer.
Yeah.
Less bumps.
Yeah. And ultimately, what this is going to come, like as Des said, what's going to come down to is business and money. Because at the end of the day, that's what Punk wants to do. And like I said, if you're willing to do business, he's willing to do business. And like I said, if he does come back, I definitely see Rollins being the opponent. Even though the comment that Seth Rollins made was not after Punk was fired, it was from the incident last year.
Oh, my mistake.
Yeah. So it wasn't after he was fired. People just replayed that after he got fired. But so anyway, and with Seth's attitude and his delivery, it's hard to tell if he actually means what he says or if he's just working. And
is that Seth or Colby? Yeah. Which
Seth
one is
or Colby
it? Yep.
Talking because I know Seth. He's gonna say that stuff again because they want to make money, and that's what's great about. That's what separates WWE from the place that Punk was working at before. Is they'll see shit like this and turn it into a match to make money because both sides can put their egos aside to make money, and we've seen it before. The best proof of that is Matt Hardy and Edge. When
John Cena and The Rock.
Yes. Edge, I'd say Edge for a shoot slept with Matt Hardy's girlfriend. That whole thing was a shoot, but they turned it into a storyline and did it in a way that was believable, where we thought Matt was actually sneaking backstage or jumping the barricade to kill Edge before we finally, and it wasn't until a long time later we found out it was a storyline. Now, granted, when they worked the match, they were a little stiff with each other. There was some stiff shots thrown, but they didn't injure each other. They didn't take liberties. They worked. And that is why I have all the faith in the world when Punk comes back, he's willing to do business. And I think they could build that too, because depending on how long the non-compete clause is, because depending on the termination,
there isn't one.
If there isn't one, then Survivor Series would be a good place to at least bring him back. If he doesn't have one, you got to wait it out. But what I would do is I would plant seeds at Survivor Series, and you have CM Punk versus Seth Rollins for the world title, WrestleMania 40, and you have Punk take it there. Because by then, Seth's been champ for so long, if Punk dethrones him, it won't upset anybody.
Right.
And there you go. You have a money-making match on your biggest stage.
But here's the issue. That is assuming that they sign him for an automatic multi-year deal immediately. From what I've been reading, the smart move with Endeavor right now is not to sign him for a long-term deal, but for a short-term deal. Basically, they would want to sign him from Survivor Series to WrestleMania as a precursor and say, if you do good here, then we can re-sign you for something a little longer.
A prove-it deal. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I would like to believe that by the time they get to Mania, they would know. I think you would know if you're going to re-sign him or not.
But you
So that's
don't
why
wanna,
I'm saying you can have him take the title there.
But you don't want to book it. But you don't want to book it that because let's be real here. You're wanting to make Mania plans. You want to sow the seeds of them months in advance, and you don't want to take that kind of a risk on a prove a deal in the middle of it. And then if you start building a story and then something does happen, you see what I'm saying?
No, I see what you're saying. Definitely, I see where you're coming from. I'm just saying.
So, and like I said, I love Punk, but he has proven to not be able to take some bullshit here recently. And like,
well, in his defense, he's had to take a lot of it, and not just from altercations. Like, you got to tell, this is a company that he was supposed to have a meeting with the other 3 guys that he had an issue with to bury the hatchet in Atlanta. They canceled the meeting at the last minute. Not only that, he flies to England. There's no one there to pick him up. No transportation contact info. He had to take the goddamn subway because no one would pick him up to get him to the building. By the grace of God, he shows up on time, and Jackoff Perry starts some shit. At that point, I'm surprised he didn't. I would have been shocked if he didn't knock somebody out. So I'm just saying, there's a lot. There was a fuck around and find out moment, and there were a few fuck arounds that they got for free before the found out happened.
Right, and I'm not. Look, I agreed with you on almost all of it. That there was a lot of bullshit that led up to stuff, but in the end, and a lot of people said that Perry started this fight. Actually, the physical part of it. So I mean, there's a lot of shit that went down, but in the end, there were 2 big backstage fights in AEW in the last year, and Punk was the only contributing factor to both of them.
Yeah, there was definitely a conspiracy, but you're right.
Yeah, and that's the question. Can he overcome his past and make WWE and himself believe that he can do better? And time will tell. I'm so glad I asked that question. And we will reconvene here definitely before Fastlane with our predictions. But in the meantime, you will never, ever leave When's World without hearing a couple key phrases, plus one, including, have a nice day.
Bang, bang.
Suck it.